Hun, it will run. Sorry about that. The F-150 radius arm was like 4 inches shorter than the factory radius arms on the Econoline. So while researching that problem, trying to figure out what I was going to do, I stumbled on a YouTube channel called Build Something, and he was putting a diesel Cummins engine in a Ford Explorer, and I ended up watching his entire build. But the reason I found him was I was typing in radius arm solutions for a twin traction beam, and he had twin traction beam in the title of his video, and it said, "Why doesn't anybody do this?" So that intrigued me. I watched it, ended up watching all of his videos, but I completely stole his idea for twin radius arms on this. I only changed one thing, and that was just because, as I said in previous videos, I don't want to hack the van up. So I didn't want to cut those radius mounts off of the frame of the van and then have all this blow up in my face and want to put the factory front twin I-beam back under the van and not be able to do that because I hacked it up. So I came up with an idea to still use the ends of the factory radius arms with their bushings and maybe provide some cushion. So when I start to regen, when I start to slow down, and all of a sudden that motor it'd basically be like downshifting constantly. Every single time you come to a stop, imagine downshifting and putting that stress on the front end. That's what I'm going to be doing when I regen. So as soon as I step on the brakes, not only are the brakes going to try to turn the front suspension, but the regen is going to put a load on that. So I thought that if I kept the factory radius bushings, that maybe that would provide some cushion and it wouldn't be so rigid when braking. Because again, this is about a daily driver comfort. This isn't about rock crawling or off-roading or four-wheel driving or anything like that. This is about a hybrid daily driver is what I'm trying to build. There's a lot riding on these, literally. Yuck. Yuck. I marked the left-hand threads are the blue ones. And the right hand I made red, which I can't pick up right now and show you. So I'm gonna put I wanna be able to stand next to the van. Like if they're aligning it, if I'm not the one working on it, if I send it out to be aligned and they wanna do the caster, then I wanna be able to grab a hold of one of the bars, either one of the radius bars, and turn it counterclockwise to lengthen it, or clockwise to shorten it. So I'm going to put the left hand back, and then the right hand will sit up on the axle or the beam. All right, 2 boxes down. Yeah. So pretty freaking excited. These are going to go
on here. In place of that radius arm right there is getting cut. So I'm gonna loosen here and underneath. I'm gonna move the radius arm out to get this straight. I'm gonna cut it, and then that bracket, or these brackets, are gonna sit over far enough so the caliper doesn't hit them. So I gotta make the back ones, and then move on to bag mounts. So 2 down. Peace. I'm out of gas. I'm out of shielding gas. That's his worst case scenario. I knew it was gonna happen this way. Ran out on a Friday night, so now I've got the rest of the weekend where I'm gonna have to find other things to do. So this is one of those things. This all needs to be cleaned. I gotta get all this down to at least like this area here, underneath the frame here, and then along the face right here. I've got to get all that down to bare metal. All right, I got these all cut. That's for the other side. So I've got these all shaped out here, and I do know that this left one, the outside one, needs to not be lifted, just like it is right now. It just needs to sit in there. I need to tack it. I'll probably tack it at the top, and then make sure that it's flat, that it's level this way, and then tack it in the back, and then I'll move over to the other one. Perfect. 90, right on the money. That one, this inside one, the right one, I need to lift up on it as I tack it. Yep, I can get to 0 just like that. Alright, I got that radius section cut, and I've got the tendon sticking through the box. So I'm getting ready to tack that tendon just to hold it still so I can remove it all from the van and then bring it down and finish welding to the back of that back plate on the box. The plan for today was to get both beams put underneath the van so I can move forward with either bag mounts or actually doing the radius arms. I mean, cut to exact size that they're going to be, all 4 of them. Get those welded to the heim joints, and then it would be easier to work underneath the van and not have to worry about it tipping off of the jack stands and falling while I'm trying to measure or clearance. But I already saw, as soon as I got the passenger side under there, I've got some issues. I've got clearance issues. One of them being the radius arm boxes. I made them so deep, you know, deeper than what they have to be front to back, because I thought that I'd be able to put a shock mount on the side of it, or use, you know, I knew that my shock was going to be coming down somewhere around here, right where the heim joint meets the box. So I wanted all this material out here so I could find a way to fasten a bracket to the end of it and have the shock down alongside of it. It's actually, it wants to be right here, right on the top corner. So in order to clearance that, I've got to move the tire outward, but then that keeps me from being able to put wheel spacers on. The whole plan was get the radius arm as far out on the beam as possible, get it as close to the tire for the most stability, front and back, but not hit the back. So when I turn right, in this case on the passenger side, if I take a sharp right turn, I can't have that tire, the back of the tire, come and hit the radius arm. But I wasn't worried about that so much because I thought that I was going to have to do wheel spacers and push that tire out to make it even with the rear tire. I thought I was going to need at least a 1-inch spacer in between the wheel and the rotor, the wheel mounting surface, to get that tire out even with the back tire, and also get the lockouts into the wheel a little bit. I don't want the lockout sticking out beyond the tire. It will run. It will run. It will run. It will run great. Okay, trying to think where we left off. I got the passenger side, I got the airbag done. I've got the shock mounted. And airbag shock, and both radius arms. What happened was I kept messing up and taking the front end, taking the beam out, tweaking things, putting it back in, taking it out, putting it back in, making bad cuts, re-welding metal, re-drilling it, making bad cuts. I basically had like a terabyte of mistakes. So I've got the passenger side done, so now I'm going to show you everything on the driver's side. Now that I know what I'm doing from doing the passenger side, I'm going to apply all that to the driver's side, and I'm going to show you every bit of it. So I had to cut off of these radius box, the front radius boxes that mount to the beams. They were like that, and then I had to cut them off. So now I'm getting ready to drill new holes to mount the heim joints in there. All right, got those holes drilled. I got a bolt in this one because I'm getting ready to put this on the axe or on the beam and get it set where it's going to be. But I've got to cut this. This is part of the
I cut the radius arm from the F-150. So I'm gonna take these ears off of here because I use these on the passenger side to help mount that box. Just, I guess, more redundancy to, just in case the welds break loose. I've got bolts holding the radius box to the beam. So I'm gonna cut these off of here and then get them cleaned up, get them down to bare metal, and then start taking this box, putting it on the beam. Okay. But this is probably gonna hit. The C-clamp's gonna hit. How far am I from the stop? Oh, actually I am right there. So hard finding anything straight on here, because if you look at this, you know, the top of the beam curves all the way. So I'm just kind of using these two straight spots right here on the beam. On the passenger side, like I told you before, I just continued to put it under there, and it's no joke putting it under there by yourself. It wants to fall over, the wheel wants to turn. I need the tire on there. The tire makes it easier because then it keeps this portion of the beam, it keeps the whole wheel assembly and the spindle and everything up off of the ground. And then I can get my jack underneath it right here. If I take the tire off, then the whole beam just lays on the ground and it wants to flop over to its heavy side. You try to put it on the jack, try to put a piece of wood on the jack, try to straighten it out, and it just keeps falling off. So the easiest way I found was to leave the tire on, and then also when it comes to fitting it on the van, the tire, it's good to see the tire in the wheel well and check clearances and so forth. So that's why I have the tire on here. Also, it helps me, it allows me to stand it straight up in the air like this without tipping over. So on the passenger side, what I did was I put the beam up there and then found my ride height, brought the tire up to where I want it to ride, and then marked a level line going all the way across the beam. So I knew that anytime that line on the beam is level, then that's my ride height. And that also places the camber correct and puts the tire flat on the ground. Okay, I'm getting ready to do the pivot mount for the driver's side. I've got everything set. So what I did was, I've got this one sitting on the bump. I've got the passenger side sitting on the bump stop. With the string sitting on the outside of the fender or the wheel well. I've got exactly 7/16 sidewall of the tire. I have exactly 9/16. Come over here. 9/16. It's a tad over 9/16, but it is on the other side also. And then same way here. 7/16. Trying to make sure that I set, and this is basically on the bump stop right now. On the driver's side. So I'm ready to, I'm gonna do this pivot mount.
right here. I've got this hole drilled in the cross member. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut this pipe, cut the threads off of it, so I just have the center part of the nipple. And then I'm gonna make an arch, kind of build a bridge right here, since this pivot point is falling where it's at, right in the middle of there. I don't wanna lose this lip here. So I'm gonna create a lip. I'm gonna come out even with this lip, like this, basically. And then build a bridge over this, and then cut all this material out here from the cross member. And then I will have the pivot spot. I'll have a place I can put that bolt in there, and at least lock that, so there's no more worrying about whether the beam is too far out or in. Then I can do the radius arms and the shock mount, and then move on to the coil, the bag mount. Right now I just have a piece of 1-inch PVC on there, schedule 40. And I think maybe I'm gonna move this box outward a little bit, but I don't want to move the tire. I have the tire set exactly with the rear tire right now, so I do not want to turn this in or out. But when I checked it the other night, when I moved this tire all the way in, when I turned the wheel all the way to the left, I had a big gap in between the tire and the radius arm, whereas on the passenger side it's maybe a 1/16 of an inch clearance between the tire and the radius arm. So even though I set this box in from this point right here over exactly the same as the passenger side, for some reason I have more room here. And I would, because of the way the shock comes down right here, I would rather, if I have clearance between the wheel and the radius arm, I would rather have this box out. So I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to do it until I have that pivot mount set. So every time I put the beam up under the van and jack it up and everything, at least I've got that pivot point locked in, so I can just keep putting that bolt in and I don't have to go through all this. Because as you can see, getting it set exactly where it's exactly the same as the passenger side is not easy. This takes me about an hour to get all these things locked in the same. So getting that pivot mount will be a big deal. So that'll fit in there. Okay, so I'm gonna start grinding at this, shaping it so it sits properly this way also. I need it to sit against there. So I'm gonna start taking that material out from the corners back here, rounding that to match the contour of the cross member, the Franken member. And that's basically exactly where it's gonna go too. So man, I probably could have got these lines a little bit closer, but come on. Come on. So I'm going to clean up the cross member, get all that down to bare metal, and grind the edges here where I'm getting ready, and I'll get this welded in. Then I can get to cutting all this out. That little bridge in. Not sure what you'd call that. I got the hole cut. This is the pivot mount from the F-150. It used to be that long, but that's just too low for my setup, so I cut that off. Put a 5/8 hole in there. Got it bolted in there. I got to drop this passenger beam down right here because I can't get this bolt. This bolt has to come in from the back side, and I can't because of the beam back there. I've got the shock mount done for the passenger or driver's side. Darn it, I'm so used to working on the passenger side. And that'll bolt on there like that, and then the shock comes down this way and bolts in right there. All right, that's the top. Oh man, this is so much fun. Would you believe it doesn't like doing what it doesn't want to do? Every time I do this, I ask myself, how did I do it? Oh, don't tip, don't tip. It's tipping. Frustration. And this is such a pain in the butt. This thing does not like to move how you want it to. All right, I gotta get a jack stand over there. All right, I'm gonna try to, first thing I'm gonna do is this isn't the proper, I'm not gonna use this old bushing here. The pivot mount, the pivot bushing. I'm just, I don't want to put the new ones in there until after I've cleaned the beams and painted them and I'm ready to put them in. So this is actually a 5/8 spacer from a different bushing. I'm just putting that in there. That's a temporary thing. Okay, I've got the bolt already sitting in the back of that mount. So as soon as I line it up, I should be able to slide it right in there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that in there without blocking up the pinion. And I'm going to try though. Oh, that's right. I've got that axle under there I've got to mess with. Oh. That's going to be fun. I don't have to worry about lining up the U-joints, or sinking the U-joints, I should say, yet. I just got to get the axle to slide in. Which seems like it's going to be fun. Oh, I just love putting my body under this. Maybe I should set up an oh crap jack stand here.
just in case. What's gotta happen here? Close. Don't move. Come on now. Seems like the driver axle needs to, or beam needs to come forward. Yeah, definitely does. Oof. Not fall forward though. Great. I really don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't remember how I did it before. It's not really the way you're supposed to join these two axles. They're barely touching because I extended the front end, or widened it, I should say. So I'm gonna have to order an axle for the passenger side. Why is that not working? It's like it's just dead ending on something. It's sitting on something that won't give. Ooh. Oh, now I know what it is. I've got that freaking shock trapped in there. Oh, so much for not scratching up the good shock. Oh, there it goes. All right. I bet that's what it was. I only got to come over, what's this showing here? Maybe an inch, half an inch. Okay, now the axles are mated. It's in the spline is in the, what would that be considered? The spline is in the shaft. The splaff is, the shaft is on the spline. The shaft is on the spline. The spline is in the shaft. Not so fast. What's going on? It's kind of acting like it's stuck again. What's holding this up? Why does it not want to go? Oh man, I hope it's not hitting one of those bolts. I think it is. It is. Dang it. Oh. Yeah, I thought I measured that. I thought it was going to clear. It is definitely not clearing. It's this bolt right here holding that pivot bracket in. think I put a lock washer on that too. Bummer. I guess I'll have to weld that. I mean, I've got 3 bolts in it, but I mean, I'll have 3 bolts. But I'm missing this one. Okay, let's get back to putting it up there. What's it gonna take, Mr. Pivot? Is it money you're after? I got none. Is it frustration? I got that. Oh, okay, that was too far. All right, and it's almost got to go now. Let's see if I can send it through the front side. Yep. See if I can get it out of the front side. I should be able to manipulate that. Get that to the rope. Ah, yes. Come on. Yes. Can't smack it. Yep. Yep. Nope. Oh, there I can. Yes. Come on. Yes. No. Yep. But if I just turn the axle a little bit, or the beam a little bit. Oh, not that much. All right, it's in. Pivot bolt. It's in. I bought 2 of these, 2 4-foot sections, because I thought the radius arms were going to be somewhere like around 13, 14 inches. I don't know why I thought that, because they ended up being not even 9 inches. So I got all 4 bars out of one section, so I've got an extra 4-footer. Basically want to save that line. Could have got 5 of them.
Just got to clean all that, the burrs out from the inside there. Okay, now I'm going to drill holes in the ends to do plug welds. All right, I'm just going to start with the plug welds here. All right, I got the driver's side. I could have the shock in right now, but I don't, because it's all got to come back out anyways, so I can do this bag, the lower bag mount there. But what is done is the pivot mount and the radius arms. And like I said, the shock mount, but the shock is not in right now. That's the underside of that. That's the driver's side pivot bracket. It's still missing this front bolt right here because that's interfering with the top of the beam. So I gotta fix that. So what I'm getting ready to do is make the upper bag mount for the driver's side. I work for NASA now. Full disclosure, I don't. So I pretty much, this is the last thing I did. This is all ready to be welded. Just gotta weld this on here like so. But I'm not gonna do that yet. That's a matter of like 10 minutes worth of work. What I am going to do is take the beam, the driver's side beam, back out, get it back down. I gotta level it out on the ground here, make sure it's level front to back, make sure it's level side to side, and then start doing that lower bag mount. I've got my template here. So I should be able to slide this. So I haven't tried this yet. I flipped it around. I used this on the passenger side, this template. And on the driver's side, I was gonna have to make another one. And I thought, well, what if I untape it, unroll it, and then roll it backwards? What would that do for me? And it's gonna work. It actually reversed the whole template. But I don't know how I'm gonna get this thing on here though. Did I tape it too tight? Did it become smaller when I rolled it backwards? That was smart. Need a shoehorn or something. Man, I feel like I'm gonna rip it. Dang it, that was smart. So I've got to untape this, probably roll it around the tube and then tape it while it's on it. So that's what I'm gonna do. Next time you see me, that beam is gonna be out of the van. This template's gonna be on that tube. Well, not a lot's happened since I left you, other than I caught myself on fire. So probably gonna be fired from NASA now. We'll find out on Monday. I ran out of gas again. I cannot believe I turn it off every single time. I have not forgot to turn it off once since I bought that tank. I hate to be cynical, but it sure does feel like maybe the tank was never full when I paid however $100 for it. I've got the lower bag mount cut. It's basically sitting on there level. I just got to tweak it a little bit. It's pretty frustrating, you know, you take a little bit off of one side and then it sits level, but then it's not touching on the other side, so then you've got to take a little more over here, then take a little bit over here, and then about the time you do that, then you find out it's not sitting level front to back. So then you start, and then you just keep losing material. It keeps getting shorter and shorter. In this case, that's kind of how it was on the passenger side, but I wish I would have messed it up more, because then it would have ended up shorter and I would have had no choice but to make it shorter. This time I actually got it coped perfect and it was sitting level, but it was still too tall. So rather than try to make a nice straight cut off of the top, I thought, well, I'll make a couple spots more perfect. So now I'm whittling away, coping. It's a coping mechanism. And just working my way down a little farther. I definitely want this one to be a little shorter than the passenger. I mean, not an inch shorter, but maybe if it's a 1/4 inch shorter, then I won't be angry. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just tweaking it a little, but it's basically sitting on there fairly straight. All right, I've got gas again, shielding gas. So I'm gonna pick up where I left off Saturday. I just got the radius box welded to the beam. Got to finish up this. This is the top mount to the bag, the top bag mount. I think I already showed you that. I've got this all coped out. I'll show you in a second how that fits on the beam. But for now, I've got to get this plate welded to this. made a couple marks on here. Does not go that way, it goes this way, right there.
That plate on there. I do have to drill a hole out the side for the air line to come out the side here. Then I'll probably do that before I weld this plate on here. Then I'll grind it round, kind of make it match the outside of the tube. So I got it mounted to the top mount. You can kind of see how they bolt in there. I use a crow's foot to get those. And the air valve is right on the other side of that hole there, so I just run the air line in there. There it is. There it is. All right, that was useless. And I got the studs in the bottom of it. Lock tight. These will go all the way. They claim that they have built-in bump stops, and they'll go down to 3 inches. So from here to here will actually smash down to 3 inches. And that's kind of where my ride height is right there. I just fear that it's not going to ride very well. Sitting at, I think it's, when I'm at my normal ride height, I think it's at 5 inches. And it's supposed to be 7 inches at normal ride height for best ride quality. But I'm just gonna test it, find out. So I've got to cut out access so I can put the bag bolts on, because I'm gonna have studs sticking down from the bottom of the bags. And I've got to be able to, because I'm not gonna be able to get inside of here at all. So I've got to be able to get the nuts on the studs. So I'm just cutting out an access and an access. That one looks a little too far down, but. Probably a better tool to use than the handle of my screwdriver. All right, 2 access holes. All right, I'm gonna weld this lower bag mount to the beam and the shock mount. I don't know if I showed you the shock mount at all. It's just something I made. I made it out of I did the same thing on the passenger side when I figured out that I did not need the factory. These are the 73 pivot mounts. So I just cut that section out of there, because it's already got the bend in it that I needed. It worked out. So it's this section right here. And then I'm gonna weld it here, weld it down along the beam, and then just put a weld here. I'm not gonna do anything in this seam right here. It's kind of overkill. Well, it is overkill, not kind of. And it gets bolted to the radius box there. So I'm going to do those 2 things. I'm going to weld both of those while I'm at it. The
I've got it perfect. I've got this beam leveled out. These marks on here are level when the van is at ride height. So I set this tire exactly where I want it to ride most of the time, and put that mark on there. So this is level right now, and so is this. And then front to back, the beam is sitting forward a little bit. Well, there, 0. So I got it all zeroed out. That thing is sitting on there straight. What I did was I outlined exactly where I need to put this gauge. Same way when it was at ride height. So that way, anytime that this is sitting in this square right here, and it's showing 89.9, and I believe it's leaning forward a little bit. I want this, yeah, which is how I had it. Sometimes it goes to 0, but it's basically showing 0.1 most of the time. So that's compensating for the fact that the beam is just sitting forward by 1 degree. 0.1, not 1 degree. I wouldn't call them dimes. This is what I'm using as a what is it called? Insulator for the top. It's ropey rubber commercial flooring. It's the only thing I could think of that I have that's flexible and strong. So, and it just fell out. I had it stuck up under there. So that was the purpose of the holes sticking down through there. So I've got to get nuts and washers on those, get those tightened. All right, I just got the bag sitting in there. It is, it's all bolted in to the bottom, but it is not, it's just squished up to the top. I had to relieve. On the other side, I did not have to relieve any metal around the bag, but on this side I did, and I'm going to take a little more. I've got it marked. You can kind of see inside there, up there. It's not touching. It was touching. I kind of put a piece of plastic in there like a shoehorn to keep it from rubbing on the metal, but I took it back down and ground away at it. I'm going to do a little more, just kind of round it out. Now the way this works inside,
got that marked. So that's that plate that I welded in the top. That circle right there, that big circle, that's marking the air fitting inside of there, so I don't drive a bolt right down through the top of the air fitting. I'm not sure which would give first, but it would not be good. It'd probably be catastrophic. So I'm going to drop this back down, take that upper mount off, drill these holes out, and then weld nuts to the bottom, and then I can bolt this in, and I'm going to pump it up. Well, I got to put the shock on also, but that's pretty quick.
This is a pretty big deal right here. Okay. I'm going to use the bags to bring the van up off of the blocks. Passenger side. It's really convoluting or articulating. It's off of the blocks completely. I wonder if the shocks are maxed out. I'm just pushing against them. Oof, what was that? Why did that move like that? Something gave. It was like something was bound up and then it gave. Wonder if that was one of the shocks. What's going on over here? I never really did test or pay close attention to the driver's side shock mount. I put hours and hours into the passenger side lining it up right, but then I just copied it on the driver's side. I wonder if it's hitting. Oof, what is that? What is that? Why is it doing that? Is that the axle? I should get under there and look at the shock mount on the driver's side and just make sure. First time having any weight on these bags. That shock mount is fine. Ain't nothing going on there. Unfortunately, I don't know why it was jumping like that. 3/8 of an inch on the passenger side from the bump stop, and about 7/16 on the driver's side. I'm gonna take it down to the bump stops. There it is. There it is. All right. And as low as it will ever ride, right there. But the wheels will be out farther. Once I put the wheel spacers in, the tire will set out. I'm just waiting to order those. I don't know exactly what size I'll need yet. This is a big deal, yes it is. I'm gonna jump on the van. Don't do that. Oop. Steady. Steady. Come on now. Locks are still clear. I mean, for being on bump stops. All right, let's put some air in it. Okay, that's about 3/8 on the driver's side. Man, 3/8 on the passenger side. I'm not getting down to bump stops. Of course, there's no engine in it either, so that's a big difference. That's a 1/2 inch off the bump stop. 1/2 inch over here.
Thanks again for watching. Subscribe. Peace.